This is a presentation for the U3A Nunawading Summer School in January 2013. And this is the first of a two-part presentation on living in a connected world. This means something very different than it did a decade ago. Being connected means being online and immersing yourself in the community of the internet, even though it may be somewhat fragmented. It allows you to keep up to date with news and connect with your family and friends and colleagues. It encroaches into every aspect of our daily life. The presentation will cover the following. So how do you get connected? So this will discuss things like broadband, internet, wireless networks, home networks, internet service providers and the smartphone. Now, because we're in Melbourne, it's going to have a Victorian focus and not really look at anything outside of Victoria. Staying connected. Do you need a computer? And if so, what sort of computer? A Windows computer? A Mac computer? Do you need a tablet? Can a tablet replace your computer? And if so, is it an iPad or an Android? Computer basic terminology, because you need to know some definitions of technical specifications if you're actually going to go and buy a device. Operating systems, so what's the difference between OS 10 and Windows? Windows 8 is the current flavour, Mountain Lion is the current OS 10 flavour. Staying safe online, how do you recognise scams and avoid danger and security online? Keep yourself safe. And life online, and it'll cover a range of things that you can do online, among them email, shopping, reading, finding information. So in this picture, this is a picture of President Obama in Nuremberg, Germany, some years ago, before his first election success. And what do you notice about that picture if you have a good look at it? And to help you, let's go in a bit closer. And almost everyone has a digital camera. One person is even holding up their laptop to film what he's actually going to talk about. These days, everyone has a digital device on them. Your phone is a very powerful computer. Your phone has video. Your phone has a camera. Back when this was taken, the camera seems to be the digital device. These days, you go out somewhere, everyone has a phone taking pictures, still images, video, iPads, taking video with the iPad or a tablet. So where do they go? In a connected world, those images are instantly shared out to the social network world. So they're going to Facebook, to Twitter, Instagram, live blogging. You can see, wherever you are in the world, what is happening in real time. And that's sort of a big difference now. Social networking, social media has arrived in a big way. So by 2015, there will be an estimated 15 billion devices connected to the internet. So we're not just talking computers, but all phones, tablets. The tablet devices are growing exponentially every year. Now, as the demand for apps increases, staying on the go means that we're going to be relying on our mobile devices more and more. Everywhere you go, you're going to be taking a device with you. It used to be a laptop, and now we can take a tablet, carry it around. It can last all day on a single charge. It's lighter, it's more accessible. You have computing power in your pocket with mobile devices, your smartphone, your tablet. What do you do with this power? Web surfing, email, anything you want, accessing information. You know, are you a content consumer or are you a content producer? So to define connectivity a little more, there are 6 billion mobile phones in the world at the moment, at the time this was done. This is in January 2013. In Twitter, 500 million users use Twitter. Twitter's become something of a platform that you need to be on. It can be very useful. It can tell you if there's an event happening like an earthquake. You're going to be hearing about it in real time, much quicker than the news services. On-demand services, this is where the growth is coming in connectivity. Services in the cloud, so you've got your Google services, cloud storage devices, entertainment, TV, on-demand TV, streaming video, all of that in the cloud. You don't physically need to have information on your device anymore. You can access it from the cloud. The smart TV, so the HD, high definition TVs are now smart. They can access the internet. You can connect them to the internet and use apps just like you do on a tablet, so you could watch YouTube on your big screen or watch the online news, or you could tweet, depending on what brand of TV you get. But you've got a mix now, the melding of computers, browsers and TVs, as long as you can connect it to the internet. And there's a number of ways you can do that, wirelessly or wired. But there's a big change. 3D TV seems to be disappearing. Email, communication in a connected world. Email still around. Spam is still, it's not quite a problem anymore, as big as it used to be. But email has become cloud oriented. So Gmail is email in the cloud. Yahoo, Hotmail, even your ISP, you can access that mail from the cloud. But email keeps you connected. Wireless, the wireless networks everywhere. Hotspots in shopping centres like McDonald's or Gloria Jean's have a wireless network free that you can access. At home, because of all the devices that you will have that can access the internet, you need a wireless network. It's not enough for you to have broadband cable with one computer that can access it. You need some way of sharing that internet to all your other devices that you have in the house. So you need wireless networking in your home. Broadband, so dial-up access to the internet. There may be some people who still have that, but you need broadband access to the internet. The national broadband network that the government is rolling out, it's rolling out quite slowly. If I want to access it, I've got 2 more years before I can even get to it. But I have broadband cable. It's quite fast, and there are different speeds and plans that you can get. But broadband will mean your surfing experience is quicker and is more productive and useful. You don't want to be sitting there for hours waiting for something to download. Facebook, 700 million users. Social networking is everywhere. Facebook is the 3rd largest country in the world. There are that many people accessing it in various degrees. Social networking, Facebook and Twitter are really, really important. In all, being connected means that you are part of the digital world. And the real question to you today is, however much you resist this change and this connectivity, it's still here. And how are you going to react to this new world of technology? Embrace it wholeheartedly, learn how to use it, integrate it into your daily life, or are you going to walk away and ignore it because it's too hard, it's too difficult, I don't know what to do? Take little baby steps and start to integrate yourself with technology, because it's here and it's not going away. So how do you get connected? So broadband, what is broadband? It's the fastest commercially offered internet connection that you can get. The cable internet connection is the fastest, and you can have an overall speed of up to 100 megabits per second. And the next fastest is DSL, digital subscriber line, which uses the phone line for your internet connection. And you get a connection speed of up to 54 megabits per second. And then you've got the dial-up, which is almost obsolete, which is very, very small. Still offered, but the highest speed is 56 kilobits per second. It's very, very slow. Broadband is what you're aiming for. And you've got to decide, do I go for cable, do I go for DSL or ADSL? And it depends on where you are, where you live, and what access the ISPs, the Internet Service Providers, actually provide you. So look at it a little bit more differently. So what is the difference between ADSL and cable broadband? So aside from mobile broadband, which is where you go out and buy a little dongle that you actually attach into your device, a little USB connection, if you're in a home, the fixed ways to get connection is through either cable broadband or ADSL, which uses the phone line. Cable broadband uses the pay TV, Foxtel. Which one is right for you? Fibre is the other one. The National Broadband Network will be fibre-based, which is the fastest you can ever get, but that's a long way off for most people in terms of when they can access it. ADSL, in its definition, asymmetric digital subscriber line, it uses the existing copper telephone lines, and it shares that with the phone. It doesn't interfere with your telephone operations like the old modems used to, but it still uses that existing telephone line. And so it's not as fast as the cable. Its speeds, it can access quite fast speeds, up to 8 megabits per second, which is quite fast. But the speeds vary depending on where you are and how far away you are from the telephone exchange and the quality of your telephone lines. For me, I can't get ADSL because even though I live in a metropolitan area, I'm too far away from the telephone exchange, and so we've gone cable. ADSL 2 plus 2, essentially the same. It's just got a bit more updated technology. It can go a bit faster, and again, the same restrictions. Where are you in terms of the distance from the telephone exchange? The cable is what plugs into your TV point. So it has a connection, which it looks like the TV antenna. It's quite fast. It increases the bandwidth limit, the throughput, compared to the ADSL. And it shares the Foxtel, if you want, the Foxtel pay TV technology within your house. So if you've got, like in my house, we've got a Foxtel cable, we've got Big Pond internet, and they all share the same technology, the same infrastructure, because it's all part of Telstra and all works quite well. Cable has higher speeds. It's got a much broader capacity, so you can bundle your internet, which is why I like it, with your pay TV and with voice over internet services as well. And so your plan can be a little bit cheaper because you can bundle everything together. 30 megabits per second is the current speed, and you can get with, I know with Big Pond you can get even faster if you're, again, in a certain area. ADSL is believed to be a dying technology. One day it'll become obsolete, and everything eventually will be replaced by the fibre alternative, the National Broadband Network. Cable will still be around, but ADSL is appealing to go. Once you've decided what sort of broadband you want, you then have to look for an internet service provider, an ISP, which will provide that connectivity to you in the form of, and give you a data plan, so how much data are you going to be paying for each month, what speeds does it promise you, and how do you connect. So there are a number of service providers in Victoria, and this is just sort of an example of some of them that you could get, and they all have different plans. They'll have different speeds. The one I'm with is Big Pond with Telstra, because to me they've always been reliable and fast access. Service, as with all of them, are a bit hit and miss, but you have to decide which one you're going to go with, and that's subjective choice. Go on the internet and look at each of the companies, put them into Google and see what the plans are. Telstra Big Pond, for example, there is one of their packages, the Elite Liberty package, which will give you 500 gigabytes of data per month, and in these new times of streaming everything, you're going to need a lot of data, and it gives you a maximum speed, so up to 30 megabits per second downloading information, and downloading is when you're actually looking at something. If you're streaming, you might be watching the catch-up news on demand. So there's a half-an-hour news service. All of that data is being streamed to you. That's download. That's part of your download. It doesn't necessarily mean you're actually downloaded a file and it's physically sitting on your computer. Just accessing information is downloading. Upload 1 megabit per second, and upload is when you're sending data up to Facebook, for example. You might be sharing photos or uploading a video that you took to YouTube. That is the upload speed. There is a website where you can actually test your broadband speed, and throughout this presentation there are links there, and if you want to access those links, there is an accompanying document that goes with this video which has all of those links. It's available from the description of the video. You can see the website there to download it, or you can email me and I'll send it to you. The difference between downloading and uploading. So downloading is how quickly you can receive information. So if you're downloading a video from YouTube, how quickly will that video download from the server of YouTube to your computer? That's what you've got to look for when you're looking for ISPs. How fast is the download speed? And download will always be quicker than upload. There's some key terms there. There's a link there about what is actually megabits mean, and so you can understand the differences between the speeds. You need to educate yourself a little bit in terms of terminology. You also want to have, when you're streaming video, you want it to be coming down quickly and not spluttering and stuttering as it buffers. Buffers are used for holding data and allowing the stream to catch up. If you're watching a video online, you don't want to be watching 5 seconds and you've got to wait till it catches up, and then another 5 seconds. That's lag. It's called lag. When your connection needs to be able to stream video in a constant stream. But all that is downloading. Uploading, when you want to share outbound content from your connection. So there's some examples there. Uploading photos or video to Facebook or Flickr or YouTube. If you're doing video conferencing, Skype, gaming with other people with an online gaming site, voice over the internet, making telephone calls over the internet, they require a constant upload output both directions for interaction. So if you haven't got a high enough upload speed, you're not going to be able to do any of those things effectively. So upload speed is not as important as the download speed, but if you're doing those sort of activities, then you do need to make sure you've got enough upload speed for it to be effective. Wireless networking. I mentioned before that you need to have access to wireless in your house. And that example there is of the sort of devices that you might have in a wireless network. You have a cable modem, which is how you access the internet, and that's provided to you by the internet service provider that you've selected to go with. And the cable modem has got the internet connection. So there'll be a cable that goes from one of the ports on the back of that modem into the wall, and that's your connection to the internet. If you only have that cable modem and you've got one computer connected to it, then you have that one computer has access to the internet, but nothing else does. What you usually need to do is get a wireless router. And sometimes the modem and the router are combined into one device, and that depends on what ISP you go with. I like to have mine separate, so I have an Apple Airport Extreme router and a cable modem. The wireless router has at the back of it some ports to connect in devices, but essentially the job of the router is to share the internet to all of the other devices. So you've got your phone, your camera, a couple of other PCs, a printer, a laptop, the TV. All of those can access the internet because the router is sharing that. And each of those devices will be assigned their own identity called an IP address by the router. It's not difficult as it might seem to actually set this up. If you go and buy a router, it actually talks you through how to set up your own network. It's not difficult, even though it sounds like it. But why do you need it? You can use the wireless network and to share the internet access primarily. That's what you want to do. All of the devices need to access the internet. But you can share amongst all the devices inside the network. You've got your private network, which is all the stuff inside your house. They can all see each other. So if you've got 3 or 4 computers and you've got an iPad and a tablet and a couple of phones, they can all see each other. They can talk to each other. They can share files. After you've completed your wireless router, you can use it to play games, surf the web, or share files. And you can access the internet wherever you are in your house. Depending on how good your router is, you can be sitting out in the backyard and still be accessing the internet, because your wireless network extends in quite a range, some better than others. So it's a little bit more specific on how all this works. There are 2 types of networks in your house. You've got your public network. So in the public network is the identity that your ISP has given you. So if you've decided to go with Telstra Big Pond for your internet, they will give you an identity called an IP address, and you will appear in their network as a consumer. Publicly, you can see any website anywhere in the world because that identity has been provided to you by the ISP. But inside your house, you have a private network, and all of those devices on that diagram there can talk to each other, but they cannot be seen from the internet. If you wanted to go, if you're out in the hotspot in McDonald's in the shopping centre and you want to actually access your laptop, you can't directly go to your laptop from outside your house. It is private, it's hidden. The wireless router is doing or managing all that traffic. It keeps it private inside. The ISP provides you with a public IP address, and there's an example of one there. And it can start with that number, but it's generally 4 octets, 4 blocks of numbers separated by dot points, full stops, that identifies me as a user on the public network. So if somebody wants to connect to me or send me something, that's the IP address that the browser will use. All devices in the private network share that one internet address. So the digital camera doesn't have its own IP address to get on the internet, nor does the smartphone. They all share that one, and the router's doing that sharing for you. So the router assigns a private IP address for each device in the network, and they usually start with 192.168.1. Most routers use that combination. You might find some of them start with 10 dot something. But every device inside your private network in your house is going to have something that starts with those first 3 numbers, and then the last number will be different, will be unique, because you have to have a unique identity to exist on a network. You couldn't have 192.168.1.46. You couldn't have another device with the same number. You can't have duplicate ones. The router manages all this. So you have some decisions to make. Decided what ISP you're going to go with, either Telstra, Optus, there are others. Do your research. And you've decided on what type of broadband technology you're going to implement, so cable, ADSL. You've got an operating system, so you need a computer of some sort or a tablet of some sort. So you're going Windows 7, Windows 8, Mac OS 10. And then you've got to decide, well, what else do I need to get? To have a wireless network in your home, you need a couple of pieces of hardware. The modem will be provided by the ISP. It'll either be a cable modem, and that one pictured is a cable modem, a DSL modem. It may also be a modem and a router combined. And any connection to the internet, broadband connection to the internet, that device that handles that connection is provided by the ISP. And there'll be a cable that goes from the back of the modem into the wall. That is your connection into the ISP. And that gives you the internet connectivity. You can then connect a computer into the modem and that computer will have internet connectivity. However, if you do that, any other device in your home, your phones, tablets, iPad, TVs, anything that needs the internet will not be able to use it, because only the computer that's connected to the modem has the internet connectivity. That's where the wireless router does the job. It distributes, it shares the internet amongst all the devices in your home. So you need to get a router as well. I have them separate. I prefer to have them separate. I've got a modem and I have a separate router. And the router you need to get is, at this stage, wireless 802.11n, wireless N. N is the fastest of the wireless hardware technologies. Some of your devices will work on N, or the newer ones do, but there'll still be some legacy devices that work on the older standard of wireless G, 802.11g, and then there's B and there's A. For this reason, it's often good to get a router that is dual band, works at the same time. So some of your devices can connect to a 5 GHz band, and some of them can connect to the 2.5 GHz band. And 2.5 GHz is where all the wireless devices in your home work, even the microwave phone, the answering machine, they all work on 2.5 GHz. It's quite a crowded band. For what I use, I have an AirPort Extreme router, because I use Macs, but it's also compatible with PC. It just works. And it has a dual band, so all my wireless N devices are connected to the 5 GHz band, so they get faster throughput, whereas all the phones, the ones that have a little bit of a mixed, older type technology, they're connected to the 2.5 GHz band. Routers also will give you switch ports, so at the back of that router will be at least 4 switch ports where you can directly connect devices into that router. So that may be a network attached storage device, a printer, if it's a network printer, might be connected straight into the back of the router. Some hardwired devices, they all have USB ports, and in the USB port you can connect a USB printer. That printer effectively then is shared amongst any device that can access your network. There are a lot of routers in the market, and you need to do your homework, do a bit of research on which ones are the better. You can't go past the Apple. They're a bit more expensive, but I've had a lot of routers, and this one works very effectively. To set up your network, in the links document there is a video on how to set up a Wi-Fi network that you can access. But this one is sort of a typical example of what you might do. At the back of the router, and that's showing the back of the router, are the 4 switch ports where the arrow is pointing to. And in those 4 ports on this diagram, there's a computer connected to one, 2 computers, a Mac computer, a PC computer, and then the receiver for the entertainment system, and some sort of network attached storage. So that all 4 ports have been used up with those devices. They're now on the network, and they can be seen, those 4 devices, by any other device in that network. They can all share files, they can see each other's files at the same time. The other devices on the right hand side, the laptops, the iPad and the phones, have got wireless connectivity. So the router is distributing IP addresses, identities, to every device in that network. Even the ones that are connected via cable will have their own ID, their own IP address. Also the wireless ones will have their own IP address. So the iPad can talk to the Mac and it can share files. The iPad can talk to the PC and vice versa, and they can share files. The router manages all this, and all of them are sharing the one internet connection. The modem connects all the devices to the internet. The cable from the back of the modem, when you're using a router, goes into a specific port for the wireless LAN. Instead of the local area network, it's going to the wide area network. And when you buy a router and you want to set it up, it comes with instructions, it comes with a CD, and it walks you through this process of connecting all your devices and setting it up. Once that modem is connected to the router then takes over the job of managing the internet access, assigning IP addresses to all the devices and making sure everything works and nothing is duplicated. The other way, if you don't want to have a fixed internet presence in your home, is to go mobile. So if you have a computer, you might get a wireless hotspot device, which would connect up to, in this case it's a Telstra one, 4G, connects up to 5 wireless devices. So you could have a laptop, you might have 2 phones and an iPad, and they can all share that wireless network through mobile broadband. Often more expensive and not quite as fast as the fixed type of broadband, but it's another way of connecting. And the other way is to have the USB wireless mobile broadband, and a number of companies in Australia offer this: Telstra, Optus, Vodafone, and there are many more. Again, do research to see what is available. And a USB one, in this case it's a Telstra USB mobile broadband that connects into a device that has a USB port, and that device only has the internet connectivity, and not as effective as the one before where you could have 5. Or if you've just got a tablet and you don't have anything else in your house, and you've just got a tablet or an iPad, then you can go and buy a micro SIM, small SIM card, from one of the telcos. In this example, it's Telstra. This one is a $30 prepaid micro SIM. It fits into the iPad, into the tablet, and you buy so much data per month. And at the end of the month, it runs out. Or in some cases, you can buy data for a year. If you've only got small devices. If you've got more than a tablet, if you've got a television or another phone, then you really need to consider another way of connecting all your devices in. This is all for part 1. The presentation is quite long, so it's going to be broken up into a number of sections. So in part 2, we're going to look at how do you stay connected.